recap. We want to thank Pro Fantasy Rodeo for supporting No Spin Rodeo. And so we'll take a look at the Pro Fantasy Players leaderboards and what happened last night. Trying to remember how we're doing this, but once I see it come up, I'll remember. So we'll look first at the big game after round 6. If you're playing Pro Fantasy Rodeo, the big game's where you're in every round. How's everybody doing? Here's the way it looks right now, so you can look at your team and see how it's going. Trace, number 5, Casey Estrada. Excuse me, Casey Estrada. His team has won $878,000 and some change. And yesterday's winner, JMMTX, they were splitting, is at 365 and some change. Congratulations to those people. They're on their way to the big winnings, which is a pickup and a trailer and all kinds of stuff. And then we look at the daily payout. That's the thing that you can play now. Now remember, you can jump in, go to profantasyrodeo.com and play the daily game all the way up to the first bareback horse bucks. So you can hear all the headlines, get all the news, change your players around. But it's $10,000 gets paid out daily. And congratulations to Steve's Buckers. I think it's Gleazy Steve's Buckers. His team, $254,000 win. He won $3,500. So congratulations to him. Again, lots of fun. If you got the big team, you save $5 if you play the daily. So Pro Fantasy Rodeo. Now let's get the round recap from Miss Santos of what happened in the T&M last night. There were some fireworks.
Fireworks, just a few highlights, lowlights, whatever we want to call them. Matt Twitchell, the pickup man, took a wreck. I'll say that up top.
I wasn't there, and they didn't show it on the live feed. What happened?
His horse just fell in the corner down by the buck and shoots, and it was pretty gnarly, really. And he hurt his ankle. He hurt his left ankle, knowing.
But he was right back on.
He got right back on, but he hurt.
He hurt.
Anyway. Kate Saunier won the bareback riding. Rocker had a re-ride because the flank fell off his first horse, and then he came back and he was 80 and a quarter. Ty Erickson was 3-5 again and won round 6 in the bulldogging. Something a rodeo secretary. I didn't notice it from where we're sitting this year down by the buck and shoots, but the Bulldoggers had blue feathers in their hats last night. And so a secretary timer, Dana Gann, texted out, and she's like, tell Gator to get on that, and find out what's up. And sadly, they did that last night for Great Lakes steer wrestler Cody Metzger and his wife Samantha. They just lost their baby boy, Dixon. He turned a year old on November 28th, and on December 2nd, he died. And SIDS. And I have 35-year-old flashbacks of a friend of mine who worked at the PRCA. Her first day back at work, she lost her baby Dylan when he was at the babysitter. So very classy, cool thing of the Bulldoggers to do for that family. And anyway, we're all thinking about the Metzgers. So, okay. This is an interesting. So Tanner Tomlinson and Travis Graves won the round. They were 3-4, and that was a heck of a night of team roping. With Jade Quirkle being 3-5, him and Summers. But Tanner owns the NFR average record here, and so for him to be such a gamer in the rounds too is cool. And TG is here at his 16th NFR, and so they wanted to start calling him the old man and stuff. But if you're 3-4, you still got it. And so for a little sneak peek into 2026, Tanner's going to be heading for Colby Payne in 2026, and TG is going to be healing for Coleman Proctor.
Oh,
so that's an interesting. Interesting.
Now, is it true that that's a new NFR record that broke Trevor's and Patrick Smith's 2011 record? Is that true, or do you know?
No. Which thing are you talking about?
What came up on my feed was that the 3.4 second
No,
run.
3.3 is the record.
3.3. So
yes,
wrong.
Yes.
Wrong data. Thank you.
It's all good.
Thank you, Grok.
don't always trust Google, folks. But anyway, so we have a lot to talk about in the bronc riding. But Statler Wright, he was 90 and won the round.
That's the second time they've won a round on that horse.
Stetson won the first round on
Yeah,
that horse, and so we ought to name him Wayne Vold's Renegade. Interesting side note on the horse that Stetson got on last night is that their dad got on the same horse in the same round 9 years ago here.
Really?
Cody Wright, yes. And so that horse, Big Rich's Ropin' Dreams is his name. United Pro Rodeo owns him. I think we're going to get to talking a little bit more about
We'll talk about
Stetson in a minute.
Yeah.
Joel Harris went third from last night on Old Peso and was 6'8". He got the victory lap on that. And Cassie Mowry rode Mindy Holloway's horse Cornbread. She'd never ridden that horse before. What can we say about Cassie Mowry? I mean, when those that want to say it's just the horse can never say that about Cassie Mowry, and I think she's like closing in on $8 million in career earnings. So what can a person say? Yeah, she had never ridden that horse before, jockey and a half. Okay, so Stetson to come back and win the bull riding last night, that showed a lot of composure. And which is no shock, right?
Or composure, or taking emotion and switching it to good, to your benefit.
These were his words. I took every bit of aggression out on that bull, and so good for him. He got the win on that, and also good for him. I'll save this for a minute. He did say you can have bad moments, but not a bad day. So he was determined to salvage the night. And we're going to talk about Stetson and JR, I think, here in a minute.
Yeah,
so
we'll talk about them again.
I'll just stop there. And
Well, that's it for our Pro Fantasy Rodeo round recap. That's just the highlights. We're going to get into the nitty gritty, but before we do, we always like to have interesting guests, and our guests chime in on all of this. Please welcome to the stage Mr. Ryan Grouney from the South Point Hotel and Casino. Honored that he carved out some time to come across town to be with us. Sit by the pretty one. Sit by the pretty one. While he's sitting down, I'm going to give a little highlights here about Mr. Gahn and the South Point, because I think that'll create conversation. Mr. Michael John Gahn was born in Nebraska, Omaha, in 1943. He comes from deep roots in hospitality and gaming, and he played a key role and still plays a key role in the operation in rodeo, bringing rodeo to Vegas. And then I'm going to spare you, but essentially he went through a lot of business dealings, owning properties, the coast casinos and stuff, and eventually, and you can correct all this if I'm wrong, but eventually decided to exchange stocks, get his own property, manage his own property south of town. 20 years ago, the South Point Hotel. Mr. Grouney manages that for him, and we'll talk a little bit more about why the South Point really is home for the Cowboys and the things that they do that make it want to be home for more than just Cowboys through the course of the year. So, welcome to the show, Mr. Grouney.
Thank you for having me.
I think we should set something straight up front for all the people who grew up on the movie 8 Seconds. Are you or are you not related to John Grouney?
Somehow, we're not exactly sure how. So we say we're cousins because everybody says, Ryan Grouney, you related to John? I just say, yeah, we're cousins. But the real story is I met him when I was 11 years old at the NFR. We didn't know each other. Just had the same last name. But Grouney's a very uncommon name in Ireland, and we've never met a Grouney we're not related to, and there's not that many of them. So we got drunk one night and think we figured it out, and it's like 3 generations back.
So there was this pen of sheep.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
So his kin went down and down to Texas, then around to San Francisco, and my family was in Missouri, and then ended up in Nebraska. So somehow we're related, but we just don't know exactly how.
I know we're going to get into the Vegas and all that, but can you just say up front, you go all way back with this crew as like a kid? And you've told me the story, but can you tell it? Like here you are, like the boss man, but you were just a kid.
Yeah.
How you got involved in this whole rodeo thing?
So Michael Gaughan actually met John Growney at the Gold Coast, and so it'd have been 1991. And he says, how you related to Mike Growney? Well, John's got a brother named Mike. My dad's named Mike, different Mike Growneys. And so there was some confusion. He says, anyway, come to the rodeo tonight and meet my Mike Growney. And so I meet him, and he says, all Growneys old enough to drive, come work for me for a summer. And when you're 11 years old, you're never going to get to 16, especially if you're going to get to be a cowboy. And one night a year, NFR, that was my rodeo experience. So 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, he says, how old? 15, you got your learner's permit? I said, no. He said, close enough. They dropped me off in Santa Maria, California. I had 2 pairs of jeans, 5 T-shirts, a really terrible cowboy hat, and a dumb pair of boots. He said, first thing we're going to do is get you outfitted. And so Santa Maria, California, my dad and Mr. Gaughan dropped me off. They left. And for the next 3 months, I went down the road to Growney Brothers Rodeo Company. And at the end of it, they picked me up in Joseph, Oregon. And I got on the plane, and Mr. Gaughan said, how was it? I said, oh, my gosh, it was the greatest thing I've ever done. You think you'll let me do it again? And Mr. Gaughan said, well, how much do you pay you? I said, well, he didn't pay me. And he said, he'll let you do it again. So I did it for 7 years, all through high school and all through college. I went to Georgetown University, managed the basketball team in the winter, and then I rodeoed all summer long. And I just loved it to death. And I was supposed to go to law school. I went to dealer school instead and got in the casino business, pitching cards. And it kind of, so now it was just NFR was my cowboy experience. And then he opens a casino with an equestrian center. Now we got horses on property 46 weeks a year. And so all those people that I knew when I was 15 years old now come to the PRCA convention. And I'm very fortunate, very, very lucky. I get to see all those guys all the time.
So awesome.
It is. So Mr. Gaughan's in his 80s, and there's headlines. So I don't know if you can talk about this or not. So just say I can't talk about this. But there's headlines about all these beautiful Vegas hotels gouging their consumers, which all along I thought Vegas was get here, show them a good time, don't charge them a lot because they'll spend a lot on the machines. Okay, this is just the redneck Texas logic. But it's headlines all over. It's like $50 to open your refrigerator in your room as a usage fee. Like to open it is a usage fee. You can't put anything in your fridge. You know, there's receipts that say, you know, hey, here's a $6 pancake, good price. And then there's $10 delivery fee, $15 gratuity, $66 tip. I'm making all these numbers up. Next thing you know, you paid $50 for a pancake. But we don't see South Point in those headlines. I'll follow it up with one more thing. Standing in line, went with some friends to the viewing party at South Point. Great place. Packed. Lots of people. Go to the bar. I order, this is true story, I order 3, you order a lot right then because you don't want to stand in line. So I'm like this and this and this, a whole bunch of stuff, right, to take to the table for all of our people, our guests. And they're like $66. I'm like, I didn't put my card down, right, because I thought they were probably talking about the lady next to me. And I'm like, I'm ready to pay. That's yours. Like, I was shocked. So let's talk a little bit about that. Is that something, what say you to that, what I just set up? It does feel like Vegas is gouging a little on the strip, and are they going to learn anything from the black eye, and have you guys changed anything? That's what I'll throw out.
We're definitely, we're known for being the busiest place in town. Not only this week, but all year. There's a head count thing that we go through, so we have a lot of business. And somebody said, hey, what do you guys, because the headlines are bad, and I travel quite a bit, and everybody says, hey, is Vegas really doing as bad as they say they are? And it's out there. And, it depends on the property, but there's definitely been a dip in the travel. And I do believe a lot of it is because of some of the policies, the $50 refrigerator usage, the $50 to park your car, $28 bottle of water. They said, well, what are you guys doing different? Why are you guys so busy? We haven't seen a dip. Why are you guys so busy? What are you doing differently? And we said, nothing. Everybody else has changed. We're doing the same thing we've been doing since this is our 20th anniversary. We're doing the same thing. Michael Gaughan has been doing this for 55, 60 years. And some of that old school stuff, that Vegas stuff, we're the only buffet open 7 days a week, all 3 meal periods. And people like buffets. And all these other properties have taken them out, and I understand why. And a lot of times I think it is the accountants that get involved. But Michael Gone doesn't work that way. We're still going to give you free parking. We're still Blackjack still plays 3 to 2. We still got a buffet. We're going to give you a fair deal. And you're right. You want to give them a good value because we got table games and slot machines. So the $100 you charge them in fees, that's $100 less they can have fun with and gamble and maybe win some money or lose some money. But they're going to have a good time. And at South Point, you can still do that. And some of these other places, it's getting a little tougher.
I feel like it's cowboy, and Michael hasn't forgotten where he came from, is what it feels like. The free parking is a big deal. And he also hasn't forgotten that, we've all heard the stories that December used to be a ghost town in Vegas. And he hasn't forgotten that. And I've also heard a lot of stories that, I don't know if it was during COVID, there were certain times when virtually everyone was laying off all their crew, and it was pretty scary at the South Point too. But was he not like one of the few who kept everybody on and kept paying people? Is that true?
There's a lot in that sentence. So first of all,
Sorry.
Let's surgically dissect it.
well, I'll go to COVID.
He's good to his people.
He's fantastic. So he's been taking care of Cowboys back at the Gold Coast before, it was cool. And now I'm gonna tell you what, this rodeo this year, it's one of the best I've been around. But back in the day, PRCA contestants, if they were traveling through town going to a rodeo, show your PRCA card at the Gold Coast, you got a free room. He's always been, and he never takes credit for bringing the NFR to town. He just says, I let Benny Benya borrow my plane to go to Colorado Springs. If he wasn't responsible for bringing it here, he's been responsible for continuing the tradition and making sure that it stays here and stays good. And so he's always been a friend of the Cowboys, and he's always loved Cowboys. Well, then he opens the South Point, and we have 1,200 horse stalls. So you want to talk about Vegas Cowboys Central, it's just kind of amplified that tradition that he's always had, and it's really become a special thing. To your point about COVID, yes, everybody else was laying everybody off. Michael paid everybody for 32 hours a week. Most importantly, during that time, they got to keep their benefits. And it's that loyalty that he has to his employees, to his customers, to the Cowboys, and it comes in reverse. The loyalty comes back. And if you've been to the South Point any night this week, every year we say we can't get any busier, and every year we get busier. The buckle presentations every night, 10 minutes before it starts, we got to close the doors. We're kind of almost overrun. I mean, we've had to add bike racks, we've had to add security guards, crowd control, and it's never been like that. So it seems like, reaping the rewards of him being who he is and what he does and the product he offers. And the customers, they pay it back tenfold coming back.
A little inside, because I know a lot of the guys that work there, right? Christmas party. I mean, this is the stories that they tell me, right? Don't you guys do a big Christmas party with all the employees? That's what I understand. I mean, it's those type of things. And so you do, right? You do a big,
We do a holiday kids Christmas party. So we do Christmas with the Clydesdales for the public. The Budweiser Clydesdales come in. It's free beer, free cocoa. And then the next day we do the holiday Christmas party. So we bring the Clydesdales up for all the employees and their children, and everybody gets presents and raffles, and they do stuff. And then we do an annual Employee of the Year banquet where we honor 10, 20, 30, 40, and we have one 50-year employee that's been working for Michael Gone for 50 years. And this year's our 20th anniversary, so we actually have to do the party over 2 nights because I think there's 226 people that have been there since day one, and so it would take 9 hours. So we're doing it over 2 nights this year, and it is those kind of things. And I tell you, the biggest one we get talked about is we do the cab party. So all the cab drivers since the Royal Inn, which puts that back at 1972, he throws a party for all the cab drivers in town. And they come in, they get a free meal, they get a couple show tickets, they get free buffets. And any cab you get into and says, hey, where should we go? And every one of them says, let's go to the South Point.
Yeah, that's good business. Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Well, you just can tell by the people there, right? They look like they're happy to be there. And
Even Joe Baumgartner works there, the bullfighter, right?
Yeah. He's my director at Cowboy. I want to put it on his business card, but director at Cowboy Chit. And he's made a big difference. We have an amazing arena team, but they were a normal arena team. And when you're dealing with livestock and you're dealing with animals, you need that guy. And because something's going to go wrong, something's going to get out, something's going to get hurt. and need that guy on the ground that you know is going to handle it, and that's Joe Baumgartner. And I mean, how long have you known Joe? Yeah, and he's just fantastic out there.
Now, the food, and then we'll stop. We'll stop nosing the South Point. The food's really good. It is good. Is there ever an occasion where you guys, the bosses, Mr. Gone, are eating and you're like, let's do this, let's do that? I mean, tasting the food, because the food it's flipping good there. Like everywhere you go, the food is good. Because it's all hospitality, I'm assuming that from him you've learned, like you're paying attention to all this stuff all the time. Does it take corrections in the course, little corrections, hey, maybe we should do this? I'm assuming that's the way it is, because you can't get good people anymore. I mean, those of us that own a business all know it's really hard. This generation's slim on people that want to work and do it right.
The fresh guacamole is a nice touch. Little things. It's delicious.
The sushi's fantastic
Yes.
there. And I've always wondered, how do you get good sushi in the desert, right? Like I know it should be good right next to the water. But you guys, you put special attention to that. Fair?
Very fair. So one of Mr. Gone's always things: keep the place clean, hire friendly employees, good food, good value. I mean, every one of our restaurants loses money, but it's a marketing expense. Coffee shop and buffet is the biggest, but I'll tell you, last month we lost $1.9 million in food because the portions are too big, the quality's too good, prices are too low, and Mr. Gone's very generous with the employees. But our executive chef, he just announced last week he's retiring January 1st, and he's been with us 38 years. But to your point, it's funny. So the other day, he got a complaint about the mac and cheese. And I never eat mac and cheese. So for 3 days, we did taste testings on mac and cheese to figure out, hey, all right, they bring out 9 different types of mac and cheese. I'm like, how many kinds of mac and cheese is there? And we taste. All right, go with that one. Here you go. But for the most part, the menu,
hold on. What made that mac and cheese?
I have no idea. I thought they all
creamy.
Yeah, it was very creamy.
Very creamy.
Very creamy.
Because we're going to clip this and use that. Groundy saying
They
very
didn't
creamy.
use powder. But the point about keeping the place clean, which that is a big deal to us, and this is above and beyond, because this is a first that's never happened, and Oat and I think we've seen it all. We stepped into an elevator a couple days ago at 7 o'clock in the morning, and out staggers a cowboy. He had just peed in the elevator.
What? I didn't get this security report.
And I'm just saying, but there was a sweet guy, one of your staff, when we stopped. So we held the elevator, and the guy came and cleaned it up. But I'm just saying, the fact that you don't kick cowboys out.
Urine in 9. Urine police.
Anyway.
It is very important. And go down to the stalls. And we got 1,200 horse stalls. Show ends on Sunday. They leave on Monday. We got Monday afternoon, Tuesday to clean 1,200 horse stalls. The next horse show shows up on Wednesday. And if you walk in there, you're going to think this place just opened. And our Mario Gesualdo, he's been with Michael 42 years. And they care. They care. And it's anywhere else you say you work for someone, you work for a company. You say, who do you work for? I don't work at the South Point. I work for Michael Gone. And we have developed this culture, and it's really, I mean, it's so much fun. It's so much fun to be there, and I think the fans feel it and the customers feel it, and I love the fact that Las Vegas goes Cowboy Town for these 10 days, but you can't fake it, right? And I like the fact that they try, but we're Vegas Cowboy Central.
We're in a Cowboy Hotel. Come on
Right.
in.
Well,
Yeah.
and it doesn't seem
See
like
the
it was
stuffed bull.
it was that long ago that we all felt like the South Point was a million miles away from the Thomas and Mack, but people still make the trip.
Well, so let's start getting into the rodeo stuff, but we'll start it with a tie back to South Point. Denny Gentry, you guys, World Series of Team Roping. Like, talk about a success story. And you guys are right hip to hip on this thing. And then, the 16th of December, the big herp hits the headlines.
No, November?
November, sorry, that'd be past time. Anyway, so month out, 21 days. So what happens, I'm interested in what you guys are doing, because, I read that you're going to have 4,500 head of horses out there, right? That's a big deal. So just take me through that morning, because I think this is the interesting stuff, right? Do you walk in and they're like, hey, boss, better talk about the herb. I mean, just take us through that, and then let's talk about what you guys have done. And it's going great, right? So,
COVID flashbacks, right? I mean, protocols, isolation, distancing, all these things. Like, oh my God, here we go again. And really, the conversation actually started with the NFR, right? Because all these other events, this, ropings, all the stuff that happens at NFR, that's the show. And the protocols that we're going to have to put in place out there, and what do we want to do, and work with the PRCA, and make sure everything we can do to make sure this rodeo goes, make sure the Cowboys get paid, is happening. And so in conjunction with that, we tried to institute just as many of those protocols at the World Series of Team Roping. We followed Connie Gentry's lead. They are the most professional organization out there. They run the third or fourth richest equestrian event in the world.
Equine Network is a
Unbelievable.
Yes.
I mean, they're the monster, and I love Connie and Danny Gentry. They are so fantastic, so professional. What they do out there, if you guys haven't been there, we have 1,200 horse stalls all the time. We have 2,300 temporary horse stalls, 3,500 stalls on property, and then probably 400 day trippers a day. With this thing going on, that's so many horses. So what are we going to do? So we have Dr. Scher, who's a rock star, PRCA Vet of the Year. Our state vet, we obviously have, again, horses all year round, so we have a great relationship. So get in the room. What can we do? And so they instituted the 7-day health cert. You got to do the moving paper so that if anything does happen, we can go back. Temp checks every 12 hours. Coming off the truck, everything gets inspected, everything gets temp checked. Onto the property, we had the state vet with us Saturday and Sunday this weekend. He was there all day, just monitoring what World Series is doing to ensure the safety of these horses. And he was very satisfied with the protocols we put in place. And it's been a lot, but so far, we are, NFR seems to be good to go, and I think we're going to get to the end. And World Series, today we'll have every stall full today. So 3,500 horses on property. But I've been out there every day, and it's been great. And God willing, we're going to keep on going. Obviously, we had the deal in Wickenburg that we were following very closely, and all the state vets are talking to each other. But I like to think that a lot of things that we've done have helped, and it looks like it's working. So we're grateful for that, because this team roping yesterday, the 14.5 paid out $225,000 to win it. This is a short go at 3 in the afternoon at South Point. We had 3,500 people in the audience watching it go down, and it's that World Series of Team Roping it's just amazing to watch.
it is, and your trade show's cool because it's the right kind of trade show. I'll just say that. Those of us that know what I'm talking about know what I'm talking about.
And we do that on purpose, right? We don't have the blue goo guy. We just
Yeah.
want to make sure that
I don't have to lay down on something that's going to shake everything until it falls off, right? Stand on. Have you been on the stand-on shaker thing? It's supposed to lose 10 pounds. That's because it shakes your nuts right off your body.
Excuse me.
Sorry.
I have one in my living room, and
Oh,
it's not to shake your nuts off, Tommy Joe.
well, it probably wouldn't apply to you, I hope.
It's for lymphatic drainage, dude.
Lymphatic drainage. And
10
does the
minutes a
lymphatic
day.
drainage go right onto the shaker?
Maybe we're talking about something different. All you do is stand on this thing for 10 minutes and
There'll be a
shake.
point in your life as you get older that will be you'll be in danger of doing the same thing the guy did in the elevator on your shaker if you're not careful. That's all I'm saying. I'm sorry. I embrace
It
the shaker.
didn't shake my nuts off.
Do you have a shaker? Have you been on a shaker? You know what I'm talking about? That thing you stand on. And
I know. I haven't been on it. It's scary.
I mean, I think you could probably use it for a lot of different things.
It'll
but
knock
the-
a tooth out.
Okay. All right. So we're past the shaker. Let's talk about the rodeo. All right. You wanna. I'm gonna let you run with the first headlines, and then now our guests. We are very interested in your perspective from where you sit on what we're talking about. And if you can't comment because someone might slap you, then just don't say nothing. Cool? Cool. Here we go. All right. Headline number 1. Roll it out.
Okay, well, obviously, we're going to talk about Stetson Wright.
Yeah. Yep.
Obviously.
Who isn't?
Okay, and so they threw a flag. They said he missed him out on the right hand side. They reviewed it, and it stood. And I'm assuming that I haven't had time to just troll the internet, but I think that's the hottest topic probably today. I'm guessing.
Pretty hot.
Pretty hot. it took 2 minutes, and just the first two people I saw that commented, I was just going to quote them real quick. So Rusty Wright, one of the Wright brothers, he actually put the video on social media, and his comment was, "This is getting absolutely ridiculous. These judges are literally robbing people of world titles and embarrassing the entire rodeo industry. Something has to be done about this." Okay? And then the other one, and there are 10,000 to choose from, but the other one that just happened across my feed was Jeff Shearer, who is an NFR saddle bronc rider, who's also the PBR review judge, and he simply said, "Can you please explain to me how Stetson missed his horse out on the right side? Helen Keller couldn't have screwed this call up." I'm not bashing on the judges.
In fairness,
I'm quoting people.
everybody that's saying this, I don't think that they have access to whatever the replay judges were looking at. I can tell you what I saw on TV. It looked like he was clean as he could be, which is a high shot in Thomas and Mack in a lens down to that right-hand side, right? I mean, it's a wide shot, and most of the things that I see posted are someone taking a video of their of the TV in their hotel room.
Yes.
Now, you're telling me that these judges in the replay booth, you think they don't know what's on the line here?
I'm not telling you that, and I'm not here
saying you,
'cause
but
I don't know.
you.
I was not on the arena floor, but I am no longer the PRCA's director of communications. If I was, and they have an angle that shows their point,
Why wouldn't they show it?
I would have to daylight that baby.
I agree with that. What do you think?
I think that, so here's the good news. 3 years ago, there would have been no review, right? And calls have been overturned this year. And at the end of the day, you got to talk to PRCA officials about the call. But the review process is working. Now, at the end of the day, it's still up to the discretion of the judge to make the call. But they're in place, so they have an opportunity to review. And at the end of the day, the call is the call. What can you do? You can't overturn it after the fact. If everybody gets in the room and goes back and says you made the wrong call, then you can't overturn it. You can't go back and fix it after the round. So unfortunately, whether the call was right or not, and that's up to the PRCA to discuss, I'm happy that there is a review process in place, and some of the calls have been overturned. And in this situation, I mean, sometimes things happen in live sports, and it's unfortunate if it was the wrong call. But at this point in time, there's not a whole lot to do about it. I am glad he won the bull ride, and you're right, and I'm going to be a big Stetson fan the rest of the week.
The last job I would want would be to be a professional rodeo judge. I also have to mention that in the team roping, there is equal controversy over the fact that Luke Brown and Trey Yates, Trey Pantyhose to steer, they were 3-1. It would have been a world record and an NFR record last night, and they were called for crossfire. And again, it is, even in the timed events, it comes down to opinion. But my point is, a lot of people are running comparisons, and they're saying, well, these 5 guys got away with this exact same shot, and I don't admire those guys for having to make these split-second decisions. But
Well, I can't even. I have zero idea what a crossfire. I mean, how to tell if it's a crossfire, like legitimately. And I don't think they've done a good job, because when you talk to some of the judges, they say if you're trained correctly, you can see it. I'm not trained correctly. I can't see it. If it happens, I'm like, I don't even know what the hell that is. I mean, they said, yeah, if he throws a loop before the steers turn. Oh, I get that. I'm just saying, watching it, right? And I think that's the problem, is that you got common fans out there that don't understand, right, all the intricacies of that call. And it sucks. And you're right, it can't be overturned. And I mean, there's stuff out on the internet about legal action and everything. Well, let me tell you something. When these guys get their pro rodeo card, they agree to concede to what the judges say. So go get, all you people, all you keyboard warriors out there that say, here we go. They agree
what
to
I'm
stand
certain
behind
about,
that.
every judge is trying his ass off.
Absolutely.
To get it right.
Yeah, you think they want to make a bad call? No.
I'll be the most hated guy in the world right now. It's professional sports. I mean, how many pass interference calls have been made? How many offensive fouls in basketball have been made that were the wrong call? But in the heat of the moment, you got to do the best job you can. I am grateful for the fact that there is that replay in place, and
Absolutely.
I think the crossfires. I'm not going to give my opinion because, to your point, I feel like I can spot them, but I'm not a professional PRCA judge. But they've done it, and I think the biggest thing is again, 3 years ago there was no replay, so we're doing everything we can to make it as fair as possible because that's all we want, and there's so much money on the line right now that is important. So they're putting those systems in place. Are mistakes ever going to get made? Well, hell yes,
Right.
because it is a judgment call at the moment, and you're working very quick, and it's unfortunate. And if at the end, I mean, if you go back 5 years ago, were calls missed? Yeah, they're going to get missed, and
They get missed in sports every day.
every single day in every single sport.
The review system is absolute progress, and they do keep making progress, and that's fantastic. And in defense of the judges also, I feel like when it comes to, I'll just give two examples at each end of the arena, degree of difficulty in the rev stock events or a crossfire call in the team roping, if you have not done it at a world-class level, like Ty Murray used to say, that's the only way that you see things in slow motion. As they're happening in the blink, you see it in slow motion. How can you be expected to have that set of tools in every event? Because there's not a human being in the history of our sport
Yeah, but
that has that.
there's guys that are better quarterbacks than
Yeah, but
everybody sitting on the couch saying how they would have thrown the
Dude,
football.
you've missed my point.
No, I
Skip.
didn't miss it. I'm just saying they're still out there. I did not miss it,
There's
young lady.
never been a cowboy in the history of our sport who was high world class in every single event. That would be the only way to make these guys the robots that people want them to be.
Okay, fair. I agree. And that, I mean, with AI and cloning, that could happen someday. But my point on this is this. Here's what I liked. Stetson, everybody, well, I'm going to get on one other thing. On the TV feed, someone answer this in the audience, because I've been watching the in-arena feed, because that's what I want to see. On the TV feed, do they pop up there that single screen with 9 small cameras that they're replaying when there's a replay call? They don't.
It gets sent to them. I believe they do. I'm at the rodeo every night, but it's
They put it up in the arena.
The feed goes to Las Vegas Events feed and Cowboy Channel feed, and I'm pretty sure they're grabbing it, but I've never seen it because I'm watching it live.
Just a little production recommendation for them. None of us can see anything on those. It's kind of cool to see that there's 9 cameras, but maybe you should consider showing the audience what those replay judges are looking at in full screen with something at the top that says replay, like they do in the NFL. You don't see the NFL show every one of their 62 cameras when they look at them.
They'll rotate them, which is cool. Here's this angle.
Yeah.
Here's this angle.
I think they've gotten better. The first night, I agree with. Again, this is the first year that it's getting kicked to the audience, so
Right.
they're working through that. Obviously, most importantly is getting the call right, and then. But we want. They're trying to be full disclosure, and so I think it has gotten better because they did do 17 times the markout last night. That it did go to full screen. But they are working through that process because it's a lot, and a lot that has to happen. And in the ground rules, if that call hasn't been reviewed before the next animal goes out, call stands as it is. And so I think everyone's kind of getting used to the process, and it is progress, and I think it's great. And I think it's good for the audience too.
So I get it. From a production standpoint, we'd like to have that call before the next guy goes. But there's been times in the course of this NFR that it was overruled in the booth on markouts and stuff, but it didn't get to the announcers until 7 head later. And they're working on all that, right? They made a comment that, hey, this was overturned, and they're working on all that. And the point is,
Which one? So I haven't noticed. Everyone either overturned or upheld before the next contestant goes.
Wasn't there
that I've seen?
Yeah, Cooper Cook. Cooper Cook, I think it was the second round because he won the first round. They threw flags in the second round, and then it was several people later. I think that's right. that
that they came in.
let us know.
Now, what I found out was that the judge, that the thing was stamped, it just hadn't gotten relayed or read or whatever. Remember, there's a lot of things going on, and this thing's timed down to the second. So that doesn't mean that a note wasn't handed to an announcer, and that was, frankly, when they got to it. And so, but I'm going to throw in one of our no spinners comment right here, because it's kind of in this line. One of our no spinners in our feedback sent, so I'm interested in y'all's opinions. He asked, why do they do the victory lap when there's a re-ride? Why don't they wait? Well, I know why, because what a mess if you're going to try to stack victory laps up after you do it, like from a production standpoint. That is your current winner at the moment. The announcers say that. They say it's not over. But what say you guys? I mean, this particular no spinner's like, boy, we really think they should wait. I don't think so.
I think it's tricky. It's a production call, right? It's no different than there are times when there's a re-ride in the bull ride and that they hold till after the rodeo. And,
yeah, I don't love that.
But it's how the production for the NFR is down to the second. And so they roll with it, and I guess they like the odds. If there's one guy left to go, the odds are that guy taking the victory lap is good chance he's the winner when you got this.
I'll give you my opinion. On the victory lap, what the hell's the difference? I mean, the cowboy is if he gets a re-ride and he wins the round, he misses out on the victory lap. I think the cowboy's probably okay. He'll just take the first place check and go on with it.
He's probably going to get bucked off anyway.
There's been a couple of exciting flag moments this year. So I don't think that's such a big deal. But so it has always been very, very important to this rodeo, and I think it adds a lot to it, is that pace of play. I mean, it used to be 1 hour and 58 minutes to 2 hour and 3 minutes. You can't keep it that tight and then try to accommodate all of these types of things. Now with the Cowboy Channel Cowboy Breaks, it's almost nice because you get a moment, because it's so exciting, and then okay, take a breath, take a drink, and then the next event starts. So I don't think but it's 2 hours and 15 minutes, 2 hours and 13 minutes to 2 hour and 18 minutes. Do 105 outs in 2 hours and 15 minutes.
I know.
It's impossible. It is unbelievable what these guys do, and people don't understand it. And I think they should talk about it more. The amount of preparation that goes into this event, the ground. There are 13 sensors in the dirt, and 5 times a day they take moisture readings and temperature readings at 3, 5, and 8 inches. Every day they rehearse the grand entry, the stagecoach, the introductions, the sponsor flags, the whatever the specialty act is. I mean, it is amazing the amount of preparation and work that goes in to make that thing run in 2 hours and 15 minutes. And I just think it makes it fantastic for the fans. It's so exciting. They stay up the entire time. And so some of those things, I think for the purpose of that timing, it is important. So I do agree with the bull riding re-ride comment. I wish that they would hold that call.
I think it needs to be a part of the show.
I don't disagree with you there. But as far as the victory lap, I mean,
yeah.
What the hell?
I'm with you.
You want to talk about J.R. Stratford for just a minute?
Absolutely.
That was a...
Because in the moment, nobody had any idea, right, really what was going on.
What are we talking about?
He got hammered. He won, what round are
Well,
we
he's
on?
the one that
was round 6.
bull rider that's been seriously fined for improper feathers.
The feathers. Oh. Okay, until he made his swap. So he won the 5th round, and then last night in round 6, he got slammed, and it was pretty ugly. Well, I leave from the seats now, and then I walk out the front, and then I go back in the front doors and go downstairs to the press room, and they held me up, out in front, and it was for a stretcher, and it was JR. Well, he had like the turban, like the mummified, across one eye, and all over his head was wrapped in gauze, and his other eye was about to be shut, and he's trying to text his mom or something, But they're rolling him out of there, and so I'm like, oh.
He got jerked down in the back end, and the hind feet came down, and he doesn't wear a helmet. Hind feet came down, and he jumped up and ran out and ran up the tunnel. And I was the same thing. I was wondering if something got hurt, right? Because he went straight to the sports medicine room. He left on his own power.
Right. His mom, we've been back and forth since early this morning, but she showed me what it looked like. and he's really lucky he still has his left eye. I'll tell you that right now, because it was like,
So he got hit in the forehead with a hind foot,
yeah,
right?
but the hole above his left eye was gruesome. Anyway, she said his official injuries from his mom, Monica, of course, his head and his face are very swelled up. He had a concussion. He broke his nose. They say laceration. It was like a huge gaping gash above his left eye, but they got him stitched up. And she did say, you know, there's always so much conversation about helmets, and it's, to me, ultimately there are pros and cons. I have dug so deep for years and years and years, you know, with Tandy Freeman and bull riders and different people. It is a personal decision, and people who want to rip guys for wearing them or not wearing them, to me, it's like, stop. And in J.R. Stratford's case, the big pro and the con thing is that the extra weight on the end of your neck, there's a potential that be dangerous
But that's a
to
whole
your neck.
podcast.
No. I'm just saying, the brief thing is, people are bashing this poor guy who got hammered last night for not wearing a helmet. And the point being, when he broke his neck, he was wearing a helmet.
I see.
Okay,
Well,
so he
yeah.
made a personal decision now not to. It's
I
very
gotcha.
similar to Kai Hamilton.
gotcha.
Personal
Yeah.
decision.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad. Well, I'm glad kids are wearing helmets. I'm glad guys are learning how to ride and adapt wearing helmets, because I've seen too much, right? And I think anything that you can do that can help you, and it's a personal choice. You know, do what you want to do. You know, drive without a seatbelt. I don't care, as long as it doesn't. You know, whatever it is that you feel like you need to do. So, but yeah, I'm glad. But so we don't know if he's in or out for tonight. Any word on that?
The official status from the Justin Sports Medicine people is questionable. So,
Obviously.
yeah.
Okay. All right. Another quick couple headlines, and then we'll jump back over. I thought this was interesting in the barrel racing, because you just talked about Cassie Mowry, and I've got to get over here to it. Ann Bleicher, in a release, put this out. So I think this is interesting in case you haven't read it. This is in the release. She said in the interview, "I had a big plan until I went into the alleyway," recalled Mowry, who continues to hold the #1 spot. "He took off sooner than I had hoped. It threw me forward, and I got my belt buckle caught over my saddle horn. I was basically at his mercy for the first half of the run, which might have been the best thing that ever happened. He's really honest. He knows his job, and I need to ride him a lot more conservative than what I did yesterday. So it made me sit there as I had no choice. I was really literally hooked to my saddle." So that's kind of, she made the first half of the lap with the buckle over the horn, and she's saying, actually, it worked out because he did his thing and I wasn't correcting him. So that's
She
pretty
never
cool.
panics, and she's so humble, and she's won $8 million, and she's amazing on the back of any horse. She's just amazing.
She's
you know?
cowgirl. And talking about barrel racing, tonight, little preview, they are doing, it's military night, I believe. They're doing a tribute, and all of the barrel racers, and I think we have a quick graphic, they're going to be wearing dog tags from 2 ladies, service members, that Sergeant Jada Good and Sarah Bolstrom, who we lost in service. They're going to be riding with dog tags from one of these 2 tonight in honor of these service women. So I think that's pretty cool.
It is cool.
That's pretty cool.
Was that last night the buckle went over the saddle horn?
Yeah.
I'm going to have to go back and watch that.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Quick shout out. This is a quick one. Jamie Brown, who's been a part of the Piranha production teams until recently, Miller. Her son was at the Mike and Sherilyn Johnson's Vegas Toughest Down. He won the team rope in there, and he won a truck.
Royce.
Won a truck. Now, here's the interesting thing. We've been texting because that's her boy, right? She's like, I said, well, didn't he get his license? This was before this. She goes, he doesn't care about driving. We can't get him to go take his test. And I told her this morning, I said, well, you ought to think about driving now, right? Now that he has a pickup one. But the interesting thing was they did a drawing. So they have an automobile sponsor, and the top 16 do this drawing. And the first, it's a progressive drawing. So he won the truck through a drawing, right? He was the last one to draw and got the truck, and others got cars and Yetis and stuff. So I thought I thought that was pretty cool. And then back on the World Series deal before we jump into roundtable conversation. The World Series of Team Open payout yesterday of the number 12.5 Ariat was $1.5 million. The winners were Michael Ortiz and Adrian Martinez from New Mexico, who took home a smooth $225,000 or $112,500 a man. And so there was an add-on roping too. I don't know how the add-on ropings work. Is that like, oh, we got some time, we're going to add a roping on? Is that how that works? Do you know?
There's a constellation, and then there's those two out. We're running 5 arenas, so we're running those 2 arenas out south, which are technically independent from the World Series. It's a qualifier for the next year, and it's a couple $1 million at the end.
$2 million. They said paid out yesterday on this add-on roping.
That seems high, but I'll have to look into it.
Between two ropings, paid out nearly $2 million.
So the 1.5 plus 500,000 out in the south lot, I'm assuming. So you can qualify for 2026 World Series, or if you do well, you can actually roll that money into this year and get in and get into the big roping. But it's unbelievable. So 5 arenas, 10 days, all day long, just spinning steers.
All M branded cattle.
I think so. Yes.
Just wondering.
So.
Those things are expensive.
But you know what? You see things out there that it's so cool. You will see Clay Cooper head for Jake Barnes the other day, or
Trevor Brazil. I asked him. This is actually pretty funny. So I said, Trevor, I heard you were in the roping. I said, have you ever competed at the South Point before? He said, nope, first time. I said, we got Trevor Brazil competed at the South Point Arena. I said, I heard you miss, and he goes, I don't miss. I might have broke the barrier, but I don't miss. And I said, what'd you think? He goes, I thought it was going to be an absolute goat show out there. He said, but when you pull into those barns and the check-in process and all the things, he said it was so smooth. He said it's just a wonderful facility, and it's Trevor Brazil. So
Right.
that actually meant a lot to me, and I
Yes.
appreciated it.
A couple years ago, 3, 4 maybe, Guy Allen, the legend, 18-time world champion steer roper, he starts bawling because he won a roping out there healing and won more than, God knows, probably 15 seasons combined. Really cool.
Well, and watching these guys mentor their kids, because I read a deal or heard that Luke was hazing for his boy somewhere along here. And so that's pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff. So do you have any other headlines? Otherwise, I want to show a couple videos that I think, I want to get into the fines. Dun, dun, dun. Fines. Everybody likes fines. We got the injury report. Can we hear the fine siren? And then we'll take a look at our secret insider picture of fines for last night. By the way, folks, if you're wondering, we're the first to release this every day, legal or not. All right, here we go. Tucker Allen, not ready, more than 45 seconds, $250 fine. Comment? Side panel? I'm going to run down these. No, don't read them. Do you have a comment? Okay, we'll go Jaco Roper.
No, I would make a comment on that. Sometimes the Bulldoggers aren't ready because their peripheral vision shows them that the Hazen horse is having a moment. So, and I do promise you that Tucker Allen doesn't give half of one shit about $250 right now.
Because it could change how fast he's out and everything.
Anything for Banker.
Yeah, and Jaco Roper, another patch violation. I think this was the second one. I could be wrong, maybe not.
No, somebody else wore that same patch. Oftentimes, though, when something like that happens, that person with that patch is paying that fine.
Or the sponsor is.
That's what I'm saying. The sponsor with the sponsor patch people. Go ahead.
Next two, Clint Summers and Luke Brown both got hit with $250 for dropping their rope.
Wow, that's some salt in Luke's wound after getting flagged out for crossfire in a 3-1. When he's 50 years old and the oldest guy here, and he just was 3-1 and he dropped his rope, I'm gonna have to give him some slack. Maybe we should all pitch in and pay that for Luke.
Survey Championship Rodeo, 2 fines for wrong flank man. Now, insider trading says they didn't have the wrong flank man. Remember, everybody, they can go contest these, right? But I'm not so sure how this could be wrong if those back judges there can look at the guy and know if he's been flanking or not. But neither here nor there. This fine thing, I'm going to get your take on it. I've said my take. They're an association that's trying to run a professional event. There's ground rules and there's official rules of the sport, and the guys know them, and they should get fined if they break the rules. That's my take. You might think it's silly. Now they're like, oh, maybe they should spend more time figuring out the mark out than what the bird feathers are. Whatever. whatever, all you people. What say you? I mean, you got to enforce policy, or why have it?
1,000%. You have to, if you're not, when you're running this kind of money, how long are you going to sit there in the box making sure everything is absolutely perfect? Going back to that production time, and say what you will, I do believe that pace of play sets this rodeo up. If you're not holding these guys accountable for not being ready 45 seconds, 60 seconds, I think it's, if you're longer than 45, it's a fine, and then over 60, it's another fine. They're not going to hold to account. The back of the buck and shoots, how many people are up there? So you have to enforce. If you have a flank man, you get a guy that's going to go flank that horse. That person has credentials. They have stickers. It's a very stringent process. And if you send just somebody else randomly up there, you're going to get a fine. The drop in the rope, that's another thing that, it's a production thing, or you lose the hat, or, they're all in place to try to make the rodeo better. It's not trying to punish these guys, but at the same time, how else do you hold them to account to make sure they're abiding by those rules? And they sign for the ground rules, and they know what the rules are, and it's a $250 fine. I mean, it's
not like
If you think about the security of it, though, some of it's for our sports protection. It could be really dangerous to have someone who snuck back there. There are people don't even think about that.
But then it's camera angles. How many times at other rodeos we have to deal with the fact that they want a good shot, and you got 65 dudes that are getting the horse ready, right? 65 guys trying to get the horse to stand up, and you can't get a camera shot. This is the Super Bowl of rodeo. They need to take production and broadcast production and all of that stuff into account, so that the fans out here can actually feel like they're a part of the event. And part of that's getting that lens in there so you can see what's going on. I mean, it has to be done, and all the bitchers will bitch, and it is what it is. But, it's just real.
I've heard about these fines a lot more this year. They've always been there, but I don't know. Maybe it's because now all of a sudden everybody's posting the fines. But, I mean, again, 105 outs, and there was 5 fines last night. So to do that production and all those things, and there's 5 $250 fines, look at the outcome. Look at the rodeo. Look how good it's been. I mean, those first 6 perfs, gosh dang, it's been fantastic. And it's because of all those things, and because of the ground rules, and because of the things that the NFR has done, that I think that it has been that great. And then this, the rookie bull riders and all the storylines, and this barrel racing this year, I mean, it is fantastic.
Well, and this is professional rodeo, to use Trevor's, did he say goat roping? What did he say?
This place isn't a goat roping.
This is not an amateur rodeo, folks.
Right.
So you do have to have some rules.
Yeah, so a couple quick things, Kuka shout-outs before we get off air. We did have one no-spinner, because I don't know the answer to this. I'm going to ask you, that asked if the Bulldoggers can still double jump. Can they?
No, they cannot. And back in the day, the team reppers could use 3 loops. A lot of people loved watching guys rebuild. They voted that away. There's only 2 loops now, and 1 jump for the Bulldoggers. There are 2 loops for the calf rubbers, but that's an event-by-event decision.
And shout out to the dirt crew. When you see a barrel racing where everything's 13s, and 3 rounds ago they were the worst dirt people in the world. Come on, get a hold of yourself, people. Hey, we want to thank our guest, Ryan Growney, for taking out time to be with us. On behalf of Kendra Santos, myself, Tommy Joe Lucia, all of you out there, God bless you. We'll see you tomorrow on No Spin Rodeo.